March 31st, 2023 was a Friday, and for Madeline Kingsbury, it began with the familiar busy routine of a working mother. In the townhouse on Cary Drive in Winona, Minnesota, the 26-year-old clinical researcher prepared her two young children for the day ahead. Her 5-year-old daughter and 2-year-old son were the center of her world. That morning, they would be dropped off at their daycare center, a regular part of the weekly schedule. At approximately 8:03 a.m., Maddie and the children's father, her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Adam Fravel, arrived at the daycare in her dark blue 2014 Chrysler Town & Country minivan. Just minutes before, at 8:15 a.m., she'd been engaged in a cheerful text conversation with her older sister Megan. They were laughing about a funny photo from a summer trip to Rhode Island, a typical exchange between the close siblings who communicated multiple times a day. Maddie's last text was lighthearted, showing no sign of distress. She then logged into her work computer from her home office at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, her session starting at 7:44 a.m. She was a dedicated employee, hitting her stride in her career while also pursuing a master's degree in public health administration. To everyone in her life, Maddie was a reliable, loving, and present figure, a devoted mother, a doting daughter and sister, and a committed professional. The idea that she would willingly disappear, leaving behind her phone, her wallet, her jacket, and, most unthinkably, her two small children, was incomprehensible to those who knew her. The clock was ticking from the moment she sent that last text, but no one knew it yet. As Friday, March 31st progressed, the normal rhythm of check-ins and communication that defined Maddie Kingsbury's relationships began to break down. Her sister, Megan, who typically exchanged multiple messages with Maddie throughout the day, sent a second text at 8:23 a.m. after their earlier laugh over a photo. This message went unanswered, which was unusual but not immediately alarming. However, as morning turned into afternoon and Maddie failed to log back into her work computer, a system that would have timed out during her commute or daycare drop-off, a subtle concern began to form among her inner circle. The key moment of rupture came at the end of the workday. Maddie was always the one to pick up her children from daycare, a responsibility she cherished and rarely missed. When she did not arrive, the daycare provider, Brooke Pulowski, noted it wasn't entirely unheard of for Adam Fravel to do the pickup, but his arrival at his usual time, 4:21 p.m., without any prior communication from Maddie was a deviation from pattern. Brooke observed something else that struck her as odd. When the children asked their father, "Where's Mommy?" he did not answer their question. Instead, he told them they were going to their grandparents' house. The concern that had been simmering throughout the day quickly boiled over into action by evening. Maddie's close friend, Katie, who hadn't been able to reach her at all, drove to the townhouse on Cary Drive. She found Maddie's minivan parked in the driveway, a tangible sign that she should be home, but the house was dark and silent, with no answer at the door. Recognizing the profound strangeness of the situation, Katie contacted the Winona Police Department at approximately 8:20 p.m. to officially report Maddie missing. This call set the machinery of the investigation in motion. Officers soon arrived at the scene, confirming the van's presence and the empty home. They spoke with Maddie's father, David Kingsbury, who also confirmed the alarming silence from his daughter. When they reached Adam Fravel, he was already at his parents' house in Mabel, Minnesota, about an hour away with the two children. He told police he hadn't heard from Maddie since that morning and that he had gone for the kids when she didn't show up. After officers gained entry into the Winona townhouse, they conducted a preliminary check. Maddie was not there, and at first glance, there were no obvious signs of a struggle or disturbance. Yet the discovered items told a powerful story of interrupted life. Her cell phone, her wallet with all her identification and cards inside, and the jacket she had been seen wearing that very morning at daycare drop-off. All were left behind. The immediate investigation into Maddie Kingsbury's disappearance naturally turned its focus on the people closest to her. And as police spoke with her family, a stark picture of her home life began to emerge. Maddie's mother and sister Megan provided crucial context to the officers on April 1st, explaining that Maddie and Adam Fravel were actively in the process of separating. They still shared the townhouse on Cary Drive, but the relationship was fraught. Just days before she vanished, Maddie had delivered significant news to Adam. She no longer wanted to move their family closer to his parents, as they had previously discussed. Instead, she intended to stay in Winona with their children, keep them in their current daycare, and was actively hunting for her own apartment. Furthermore, Adam was aware Maddie had begun seeing someone else, a man named Spencer Sullivan, whom she had met on Tinder over a year prior and had recently reconnected with.
Her family described Adam's behavior as emotionally abusive and controlling, detailing how he had insisted Maddie stop communication with Spencer when he was around and had demanded to see all the text messages she exchanged with him. Perhaps most chillingly, Maddie had confided in her sister that Adam had once threatened her by saying, "If you don't listen, you'll end up like Gabby Petito," referencing the high-profile 2021 murder of the young traveler. If you guys would like me to cover this story, let me know down in the comments. Now let's get back to the story. The revelations from her family transformed the investigation's lens. The missing person case now had a clear, troubling backdrop of domestic conflict. Police learned that the very night Maddie was reported missing, March 31st, was reportedly the first night Adam had not stayed at their shared home, a detail that seemed too coincidental to ignore. Friends added further depth to this troubling portrait. One friend, Lauren, recounted a hospital visit just 30 days prior where Maddie told her, "Everything is bad with Adam at the house," and explicitly stated, "If anything happens to me, know that Adam did it. I would never leave my kids." The couple had even attended couples therapy, which Maddie had insisted upon after a prior choking incident. Text messages showed that as recently as March 22nd, Maddie expressed to her mother a commitment to making the therapy work. This wealth of testimony painted a clear picture of a woman seeking to extricate herself from a coercive, threatening relationship, making her sudden disappearance exponentially more sinister. The man who was the last to see her alive was also the person with the clearest motive to harm her. As law enforcement pieced together the hours of March 31st, Adam Fravel's account of his day began to conflict with tangible evidence. He told police he left the Cary Drive townhouse around 10 a.m., claiming Maddie was in her downstairs office and planned to work before heading to her job in Rochester. He said he took the minivan to drive belongings to his parents' house in Mabel. However, data and observations started to poke holes in this story. Police, examining the minivan still parked in the driveway, noted specific details that seemed out of place: a mud mark on the interior driver's side door and distinct muddy palm prints on the steering wheel. The rear cargo area was suspiciously empty of any items, but officers found several pieces of discarded trash directly beneath the tailgate, as if the area had been hastily cleared. Meanwhile, electronic evidence was painting a different route. Investigators determined that a vehicle matching Maddie's minivan was seen on surveillance cameras traveling on Country Road 12 and Highway 43 in Winona County, then heading southbound through the eastern part of Fillmore County, the direction towards Mabel, before eventually traveling back north to Winona. The van was recorded returning to the Cary Drive driveway around 1:30 p.m.
The disparity between Adam's story and the evidence grew more pronounced. He claimed that upon returning at 1:30 p.m. and seeing Maddie's car still there, he texted her at 1:33 p.m. asking if she'd gotten a ride. This message, sent to a phone that was already left behind in the house, now seemed like a potential performance. Furthermore, investigators scrutinizing Adam's financial situation found a powerful motive woven into their bank records. Adam Fravel was unemployed and, according to statements, spent his days playing video games. Every single deposit into his personal account during the month of March had been a transfer from Maddie Kingsbury. Her income was his sole financial support. Her decision to end the relationship and establish a separate household wasn't just an emotional blow, it was an imminent financial catastrophe for him. The threat of losing his livelihood, coupled with the humiliation of Maddie moving on with someone else, provided a clear catalyst for violence. This financial dependency, starkly revealed in the bank statements, transformed Adam from a person of interest into a primary suspect. With Maddie Kingsbury officially declared an endangered missing person, the response from her community and the contrasting actions of Adam Fravel created a stark parallel narrative. On one side, an outpouring of public support and desperate searching took hold. On April 2nd, law enforcement issued the public alert, describing Maddie as 5'4", 135 pounds, with brown hair and hazel eyes. What followed was a massive, heart-wrenching mobilization. Maddie's brother, Stephen, cut short his military service overseas to return home and join the search. Over the weekend of April 7th, more than 2,600 volunteers fanned out across Winona and surrounding counties, scouring fields, wooded areas, and riverbanks. The Finding Madeline Kingsbury effort became visually defined by her favorite color,
blue. Residents were asked to place a blue checkmark on their property if they consented to a search, and a blue ribbon on their mailbox once it was completed. A vigil on May 5th drew over 200 people, all wearing blue ribbons. As her 27th birthday approached on June 1st, her family encouraged people to light the way home for Madeleine by putting blue light bulbs on their porches. This public display of hope and solidarity stood in poignant contrast to the deepening fear her family privately held. Meanwhile, Adam also made a public statement saying he and his family had faced many accusations, claiming he had nothing to do with Maddie's disappearance and had been cooperative. He concluded with a statement saying, "God bless the Kingsbury family and please bring her home safely." The investigation took a decisive turn on April 9th, Easter Sunday, when a neighbor living north of the Fravel family property handed over a critical piece of evidence, an image from a private trail camera. The timestamp read 4:51 p.m. It showed Adam Fravel driving a Polaris Ranger utility vehicle across the rural landscape. In the cargo bed of the Ranger was a long-handled shovel. Adam was dressed in dark clothing, a jacket, pants, and a stocking hat, and wore sunglasses. The ambient temperature recorded by the camera was 71 degrees Fahrenheit, making the sunglasses and the full dark attire notable. Law enforcement immediately acted. They secured a warrant and placed a freeze on the Fravel property, meaning occupants were to be detained while a search commenced. Before they could be stopped, Adam was seen taking off on the Polaris. He was eventually stopped by officers at 180th Street near Highway 43. The Ranger and the shovel were seized as evidence. Investigators brought in cadaver dogs to search the vast 800-acre property. The dogs gave what is known as a final response alert to two specific items, the bed of the Polaris Ranger and the spade of the shovel. These alerts indicated the dogs detected the scent of human decomposition. During the search, officers also noted a disturbed area of soil where the dirt appeared fresh and seemed to have been transported from another location and dumped there.
This physical evidence was powerfully compounded by the rapidly unraveling digital forensics investigation. When police finally obtained warrants for Adam Fravel's electronic devices, they encountered what they suspected was deliberate and sophisticated tampering. Adam, who had studied computer science, had wiped his phone. Critical tracking applications and location services had been disabled after March 30th, the day before Maddie vanished. Investigators believed this was a conscious effort to conceal his movements on March 31st and beyond. The digital crime scene extended to the homes. Police discovered that a network of Wise brand security cameras at both the Carey Drive townhouse and the Fravel family home in Mabel had been violently removed. At the townhouse, there were patches of torn drywall where cameras had been ripped down and their SD cards were missing. During the April 7th search of his parents' property, officers found a computer tower and a laptop in a dumpster, and a burned computer in an outdoor fire pit. For 69 days, the search for Madeleine Kingsbury was a story of agonizing absence. Then, on Wednesday, June 7, 2023, at approximately 1:30 in the afternoon, that story reached its grim, conclusive chapter. A Fillmore County deputy, following a specific investigative lead related to electronic evidence, was canvassing a remote, wooded stretch of land just off Highway 43, north of the small town of Mabel. This area was not unfamiliar to searchers. It had been part of the extensive grid searches conducted by both law enforcement and volunteers in the preceding weeks. However, the deputy's directed search led him to a specific patch of brush. There, concealed in a way that made it invisible from the road, he discovered human remains. The body was wrapped tightly in a fitted bed sheet, and that sheet was then extensively bound with black tape. The location was chillingly significant. While not on the Fravel family's own property, it was within a few minutes of drive of it, nestled in a secluded area of Fillmore County. The following day, after forensic examination, the Winona Police Department confirmed what everyone had feared but her family had prayed against. The remains were positively identified as those of Madeleine Kingsbury. The medical examiner's findings provided the official legal cause. Her death was a homicide. The specific method, a knotted towel found around her head and neck, spoke to a violent, personal act. The legal machinery moved with swift and decisive force following the discovery. That same evening, June 7th at 5:20 p.m.,
Adam Fravel was taken into custody and booked into the Winona County Jail. The charge was probable cause for intentional second-degree murder. 2 days later, on Friday, June 9th, he was formally charged by the Winona County Attorney's Office with 2 counts of second-degree murder, one for intent, one without intent, and made his first court appearance via Zoom from the jail. The judge set his bail at $1 million with conditions, or $2 million without. For Maddie's family, the bittersweet reality of closure now collided with new anxieties. While profoundly grateful she was found and that the person they believed responsible was in custody, they feared he could post the substantial bail. The children were now safe in the care of Maddie's parents, but Adam still had parental rights. The family immediately filed a motion to prohibit any contact between Adam and his children, arguing he would be an extreme flight risk if released, with every reason to flee with them. The legal battle was shifting from a search for a missing person to a fight for justice and protection. The community that had worn blue ribbons and held vigils now mourned the confirmation of their worst fears. The vibrant mother, sister, and daughter they had searched for so tirelessly was gone, and the long road towards a trial was just beginning. Madeline Kingsbury's story did not end with the discovery of her remains or the arrest of Adam Fravel. In the wake of the tragedy, her true essence, the person she was before she became a headline, came to sharp, poignant focus through the memories of those who loved her. Her family's obituary and statements painted a portrait of a radiant, intelligent, and deeply caring woman. She was the baby of the family, a chatterbox from a very young age who followed her siblings around with endless conversation. She possessed a big smile that matched her big heart. At her memorial service, Megan, while acknowledging her own broken heart, said that because Maddie always saw the beauty in those she loved, she would not want them to remain broken. This was the legacy she left, one of light, purpose, and unconditional love. Her devastating manner of death also cast an inescapable light on the grim reality of intimate partner violence. Her case became a stark, real-world example of the lethal potential of coercive control and threats. The phrase her father, David Kingsbury, recalled in his grief resonated with a terrible truth. Men are afraid that women will laugh at them. Women are afraid that men will kill them. Maddie's own fears, whispered to her friend in a hospital room weeks earlier, tragically materialized. In her memory, the message from the Finding Madeline Kingsbury campaign became a simple, powerful plea to others. For anyone hearing her story, it serves as a somber reminder to listen to friends and family who express fear about their partners, and to know that resources like the National Domestic Violence Hotline exist. Madeline Kingsbury's life was defined by warmth and her potential to heal and help through her chosen profession. Her death is a permanent testament to the destruction that occurs when love is twisted into possession, control, and ultimately, violence. I thank you guys for your time and support. As always, drop a like if this story touched you. I will be seeing you on our next episode.